How much is enough? I've said this many times. God does not mind us having stuff. He does not mind us having wealth, extraordinary wealth, as long as the stuff and the wealth does not have us, that we start worshiping those things, people, places, and things, that we don't turn our excess into gods and idols. I saw something the other day that really disturbed me. I was at a buffet restaurant, and the table left with a lot of excess food that they didn't eat on the table. The waitress came over to clean the table, and she just shook her head. And I looked at her, and she had a look of disappointment and actually frustration that the people took all of that food, left it, and didn't eat. And the only thing they could do with that food is to throw it out. What is your life worth? What is the value of your life? What are you doing with your excess? What are you doing with what God has given you, not only for self-aggrandizement, but what God has given you to be a blessing? My guest today, Don Spann, is a young man that was on a trajectory to be in corporate broadcasting, but he decided to become a professor at a local university so that he could sow into young people, teenagers, young adults in the industry that he grew up in, and he had a appreciable success. I want you to stay tuned. You're really going to be blessed by his testimony. Hey, I appreciate you joining me today. You know, there are guests, and I pretty much say this every week. There are guests that you really enjoy having, but there are guests that you really, 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 really enjoy having. And my friend today, a long-term friend, Don Spann, is my guest today. And before we went on the air, we talked about, man, how long we've known one another, and we've crossed paths over the last 3 decades in the industry of broadcasting. Him being on the journalism side, on the production side, me being on the marketing and sales side, and man, it's incredible how the Lord will utilize you, but then bring you back and reconnect. And so I'm delighted to have my friend Don Spann with me. He is a legend, and he's a young legend. He has an appreciable resume. He's done a whole lot at such a young age, and boy, I tell him, he has so much to accomplish. From being behind the photo lens and the camera to now teaching it, Don Spann is an assistant professor of media production in the Department of Journalism and Media Studies at Jackson State University. His research interests includes human trafficking, health equities, and weather preparation for vulnerable population. He teaches a variety of courses within the department, which includes intro to media production, advanced media production, digital editing, photojournalism, media programming, practicum, and internship. I could go on and on and on. And in fact, I have like little cheat notes, and I have like 5 pages of cheat notes. That's of his bio. But if I were to read everything that he has been able to accomplish and he has accomplished in all of the lives that he has touched, we would be here for 4.5 hours. You don't have that time, and certainly this length of time for the show is not a 4 hours. It's for 60 minutes. My friend, Don Spann, welcome to Defining Moments.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you for asking me to be a part of your show. And again, reconnecting, like I said, our history go back. Just recently, remember last year, kind of reconnected through another programming. And so you behind the scene producing that, and now have an opportunity to be on your show is my pleasure.
I have no idea. I have to pinch myself or slap myself. I have no idea what has taken us so long, what has taken me so long to get you on the program. I've really admired your journey. I've really admired your passion. I've really admired your professionalism of the industry. There are people in the industry that are staple in the community, and that are staple in the industry that when you think of this industry, particularly the Mississippi region, you say, man, that this particular person has made a difference in the industry of journalism or in the industry of broadcasting. Your name comes up. You know, the names of Fred Howard, the name of Jake Smith, the names of Frankie Thomas, the names of, Don Spann, the names of Fred Howard, the legacy. These people are legacies, and many, many more. Man, your name is right there. The T. Gray Taylors, your names are, your name is right there, man. So how did you get started in this business?
That's great. But I learned so much for each one of those, the name that you mentioned in a different aspect. But I started in radio.
In radio.
So at Jackson State, WJSU, FM 88, as a student.
That's a staple radio station. It's still very endeared to this day.
Definitely so. So I was doing like a lot of students. We started out being an on-air announcer. But my senior year, so I didn't do an internship. I had an option. Dr. Anthony at the time was our department chair.
I have
my mentor.
I had so much respect for Dr. Anthony. I have so much respect for her legacy and her spirit. She has transitioned. She has gone on to glory.
Yes.
But boy, she was always very kind, always very supportive. And I have to put a hard pass there, because Dr. Elaine Anthony, she was always a friend of my family. She was always very kind to the work that we were doing, and to a degree, her hand, if I've had any success, people like her hands has been on my life. And so I just wanted to pause there and just show gratitude for Dr. Elaine Hayes Anthony for her commitment of excellence to the ones that she has mentored and shadowed.
Yeah, thank you. And definitely her hand was placed on me as well. So because of her, Bruce Payne at the time.
Bruce Payne.
WJMI, WOKJ.
WOKJ
needed a weekend announcer. And so she recommended me as a weekend announcer. That was in the fall, my fall semester of my senior year. And so I applied, got the job, and I was doing radio. At the same time, in November of that year, I got a call from WLBT from Jackie Gary. She was over human resources. Jackie Gary,
that's right. Who later became executive administrative assistant for Frank Melton.
So she called me and I interviewed, and she asked me, let me know they had a job opening in Meridian at WLBM. And what are my thoughts of that job? Would you mind relocating? And I'm like, sure. Because it was an opportunity to have a job on graduation. And then later on, I learned that the radio station, Bruce Payne, was going to offer me a full-time position upon graduation as well. So I had an option, radio or television. But I developed my passion my junior year when it came to storytelling, video editing. And so I chose television, and I started at WLBM in Meridian. And I worked there a year and a half, year and 9 months.
Now the call letters for the television station again is
WLBM.
Now, interesting, because you and I had a little laughing moment, because I had stints at the ABC affiliate here, the Fox affiliate here, but was presented an opportunity with a television station in Meridian as well, WGBC. So we crossed paths, man.
Yeah.
Years in between.
I know, and I had no idea. It's very similar history, right?
Very similar history.
Very similar history. But it's a good foundation for me. It basically gave me a foundation of what, transitioning from Jackson State. And I remember Pluriel Marsh at the time with the GM. And he told me, forget everything you learned at Jackson State. We're going to do it this way, because it's a certain way we do things here. But, keep something that's important. But right now, you're getting paid.
So when Pluriel left as GM, I followed him and eventually became GM over the station Meridian. I'm going to put a slight pin there. Don, you left Jackson. Jackson is a larger broadcast market than Meridian, Mississippi.
For sure.
Jackson, I think, hovers around 99, 98, 97, depends on the year and the book. Meridian is like 134, 133. Mm-hmm. So you're going back. Journalists, reporters, anchors, even people in management, they want to move up the ladder to a larger market to inevitably get to the network level. But there's something to be said about you leaving the Jackson market, a larger market, and going to a smaller market. I think that's quite admirable, because you wanted to hone your tools. what lesson would you share with those aspiring broadcasters that want to start in the Atlanta market, that want to start in the New York, the Los Angeles, the Chicagos, the Detroit markets, and they're unwilling to hone their skills? What advice would you give those aspiring broadcasters or photojournalists?
What I would say to those who have aspiration becoming, storyteller and multimedia, everybody have aspiration and be working in the larger market, like I did at one time. However, it's important to have humbleness about this career, because you got to be well grounded, very knowledgeable. Because in that industry, the one thing a lot of time that a lot of young people don't understand is that the higher the market is, limit your skill sets.
Absolutely.
And you're expecting you to be good at one particular thing.
That's right.
However, working at a smaller market like I did, starting in Meridian, I started an operation, and they call it an on-air switcher.
Yeah.
Now, today it's done electronically, digital, one person, but at the same time, the operation side of it, switching programming. And then I got into production, used a sale account. So you went out and made the sale. It was my responsibility to go out and shoot the commercial.
That's right.
We call it creative service sale.
That's right.
So we learned the shooting aspect, and then production, and satisfying our clients. It's the most important thing, satisfying our clients. And what do that mean? Making sure they're happy in every aspect from the shooting, the lighting, the graphics, the music, the whole 9 yards. Understanding what the people want. So now building a relationship is important.
You talking about that guy right there?
Yeah, that was.
You talking about the younger Don Spann?
Oh, the younger Don Spann. But let me tell you, I had some great mentors. Jim Duncan.
I remember Jim.
Jerome DeLoach, Don Cash, Mike Jerome. Evans, T. Gray Taylor.
Absolutely.
It goes on and on.
Oh, yeah. Man,
legends.
Resume. Oh, these guys are legends.
Don Warren. Remember Don Warren?
I remember Don Warren.
Don Warren. So all those guys inspired me, but they challenged me at the same time. Challenged me because I want my work to be on that same level as theirs.
Yeah.
But I know Jim Duncan told me, he said, I will critique your work once you critique it yourself.
That's good.
And determine where you need to improve upon.
Yeah.
He said, once you understand that, then I can confirm that. And it was all about, going out there and telling a story. And I just had that drive. And so, again, I tell those, even my students today, that it's important to be humble. Starting at a smaller market is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because now they're going to see really how much you really have that desire.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes you get to success too early, then the drive is not the same.
Yeah.
And then if you don't make it at the network, you start out in Chicago, for example, the likelihood it's not going to happen. But it's always a possibility. Yeah. There's a few I know who basically graduated from college and started at the third market, which is Chicago. They was there for like a year and a half, and then I got word that, they're not on the air any longer. Now, what became of them, I don't know.
Yeah.
But oftentimes, success came too soon.
That's right. That's right.
And so it's all about paying your dues.
Yeah, but they were not able to sustain themselves. I remember you give me flashbacks, Don, that I became general manager at WGBC TV, the NBC affiliate in Meridian, Mississippi. Had an opportunity to hire. I received a call from her agent. I thought it was, they were playing around, but I had an opportunity to hire. Young lady I'll give her first name was Margaret. She was Miss America. She wanted to break into journalism, reporting, and she wanted to start at a smaller market. Long story short, we hired her, started reporting, then we finally put her on the desk. Did a marvelous job. She stayed there for about 8 months and got a call from Atlanta, and her career has just moved on. There's something to be said. She was good in front of the camera in terms of pageantry and modeling, but you've got to sit at the desk. You've got to read that teleprompter, and you've got to be independent. You've got to enunciate. You've got to be engaging. You've got to tell the story. And she was able to hone her craft in a smaller market so that when she got the opportunity to break into a larger market, then she could hold her own. And that's been your career.
And to your point, it's like she built the trust with the community.
Yes.
And for a talented person on air, especially on their personality, can I believe what you're saying? Can I trust you?
Yeah.
And so now you learn to develop that. And so as you move up the ladder,
right,
the bigger market, you know how that
Right.
Now we're talking, we have a conversation, and people have looked at and say, now, oh, I can believe, I look forward to hearing that person. So you basically get a following to a degree. But now today, as we know, if you're talented, a smaller market, you're going to be there for a short space of time.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So, but it's important, I think, that you get the basic down, be sound in the fundamentals, just like in athletics, right? How important the fundamentals are. The same thing in our industry. If you understand the fundamentals, and give it time, the opportunity for move up going to happen.
You don't have to. You don't have to knock the door down. People will knock the door down trying to get to you.
Yeah, and it's because I had opportunity, Larry, to move on to larger markets. Just like you stated earlier, like so many of us, my aspiration was to work as a photojournalist for the network, and I could have. Corus Collins.
I remember Corus Collins
moved to Chicago.
I hadn't heard these names in 30 years, man.
These are guys who
but
really.
These guys are these names are legends.
Legend. And so he left Channel 3 and relocated to Chicago as assistant news director.
Wow.
And so myself and a couple other photographers had an opportunity to move. I just chose not to. Had opportunity to move, had job offers in Nashville, in Orlando, in DC. And I did that just to know, I had to reassure myself I had the talent enough. If I wanted to leave Jackson, I was skilled enough, I could have. But I chose to remain in Jackson.
Prior to coming on the program, I did a little promo sharing with people who my guests would be today. And I said, there's something to be said about being satisfied with what you have, having the gifts and talents that the Lord has blessed you with, and not exploiting the blessings that the Lord has given you. I used as a reference people going to buffet restaurants. Mm-hmm. They overeat. They're very wasteful, and they overlook the opportunity to be a blessing with their wealth, with the things that the Lord has blessed them with. And I said, quite frankly, with the resume that you have, man, you could be in New York, you could be in Los Angeles, you could be in Chicago, you could be in Nashville, you could be in. I sincerely believe that Don Spann could sincerely be in those top 10 markets, but you're here, you're in Jackson, Mississippi, and you've chosen to stay here. It's been a conscious effort for you to stay here. Why? Is it because of your rearing? Is it because your affinity for Mississippi? What?
That's great, because part of that is the rearing and family ties. And when I say that, I'm born and raised in Mississippi. However, I have family. Majority of my family, like uncles and aunties and even older brothers, moved up north. And actually, I had moved up north upon graduation. Had moved to Chicago. The circumstances brought me back to Jackson, and so that's why I ended up going to Jackson State. But this is how it's divine. Again, it happened early on in my career. When I probably 92, 93, I was asked to go and represent WOBT at a career fair at an elementary school. And when I got there, basically doing at that time, most career opportunity was attorneys, law enforcement, firemen, doctors, and then they had broadcast. And you had presenters, had professional talking to second to fourth graders, young kids. But I came there with the camera, tripod, a monitor, a microphone. And so basically the students were thinking that, again, think about it, envision little kids, and they seeing their classmates on television. It was a monitor.
Yeah.
And had a microphone, and they just enjoyed that. And so it was funny. All the other professionals like, well, I guess everybody want to be.
Then we can pack up and go.
Want to work in broadcast. And again, a small voice said that. I remember that said, I want to do that. But I put no plan. I had no additional thoughts about it.
But in your heart, you just knew that you wanted to give back.
Give back. And
those students then were so impressed with you and what you were doing.
Yeah, and their reaction. And then I just like being around young people to the point that, I coach basketball, I have two kids. And so my daughter and my
Sarah
son.
and CJ, absolutely.
And EJ, right?
Yeah,
And so,
EJ, that's right.
EJ. And so I started coaching them coming through the Y. Remember the
Yeah,
Y?
that's
YMCA
right.
basketball. So I coached them up until they got of age. And then when my daughter started playing basketball, I became an AAU coach.
Yeah.
And
Sarah, if you know anything about high school basketball, Sarah Spann, if you were any good team, she was in your face.
Yeah.
She was she played with my daughter. My daughter played with her. She is a great basketball player. And now she's a basketball coach.
And a basketball coach, she is. So that, and then like coaching, then I coach high school boys, but just being around young people. But the call came when I was in corporate. So I left WLBT in 2003 because, again, this is divine intervention. This is not my dealing because I didn't apply for the job at Nissan.
Right. Nissan
Somebody,
corporate. That's right.
Yeah, Nissan North American
Yeah.
in Canton.
Right.
Someone dropped my name out of Nashville. They had reached out to somebody in Nashville about a position, and the person said, no, but I know somebody.
Wow.
And they recommended me. And this was funny. So I get a phone call, and I come home from the office. Remember the time when you get home and you hit the
hit the answering service. Yeah.
Right? And they were like, I still remember the message. This is Bob Mullins from Nissan. I'm production manager. No, I'm his title. I can't recall the title right now, but your name was given, what you like, what you would like to talk to you about a position at Nissan. And I was like,
huh?
Nissan, I already got a job. I'm not going to.
That's right.
I'm not concerned about that. But then always, like I tell my students today, before you say no, look into it and see what's anybody talking about.
Not be willing to talk.
Not be willing to talk, right? So I called Bob, called Bob. We had a conversation and I did an interview and basically he was like, your name was given. We kind of did a background. I really think you make a great fit for this year. And I took the job. So
you went from radio to a smaller market back to WLBT,
Yes.
which is the big gorilla in the room.
Yes.
In the Jackson, Mississippi DMA or ADI market, broadcast market. You left there and you went to Nissan.
With the Nissan.
A totally different industry, howbeit the same, profession.
Yes.
A totally different industry.
Yes, a
And
corporate
you did great there. You stayed there how long?
13 and a half years.
So you went LBT 15 years.
15 years.
Darn, you don't look old. Listen, you don't look older than 40 years old, man. How have you been able to do this?
I know. I started young, right?
Oh my goodness, you really
young.
did, man.
But what's so great about that? I had total autonomy at Nissan Canton to build that plant out from the production side of it. I established everything. It was my vision and their support. And I basically relied on some of my colleagues in Nashville and also in Smyrna, Tennessee. But yeah, we basically helped build that, and I did a little small anchoring called Nissan News Network, NNN.
Wow.
We did that, but it was in 2012 that I got Dr. Anthony come back to surface.
Yeah.
I get a phone call from her in August of 2012, and she asked me would I have an interest in teaching at Belhaven. And I'm like, let me think about it, Doc. And then we talked, and I revisit. And I was like, this is the opportunity. It took me back to when I had that, I told you earlier, there was an opportunity. And I said, met with her and the faculty who was leaving. We had a conversation and basically said, you have an opportunity to, produce this class, to see the way in which you feel be beneficial to our students here. And Belhaven gave me my first opportunity.
Wow.
And I did that from 2012 to 2015. And then when Dr. Anthony was asked, when she went back to Jackson State, she asked me would I be willing to join her there. And I told her, let's take it.
Let's
slow it down. Let me just slow it down.
I'm doing a little hopscotch in here.
And I said, well, let me try it as an adjunct. Just let me see how the process works, going from a private institution to a public institution. Let me just see how they're going to be. And it was great. And then she's, but I really need you full time. And I said, Doc, well, I said, this is what I told her. I said, if it's God's will.
Yeah. And Belhaven is recognized across the nation.
Definitely.
It's a solid university, man.
Yeah, and they had all the resources.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it
That's
was
right.
great because whatever we had a need,
you had the budget for
we
it.
had a budget for it. And so all that you take into account. And then had a smaller classroom, student faculty ratio was much smaller and more engaging in a sense. But at the same time, the main reason I went back, Larry, to Jackson State was because of the fact that I had, I was following our program, and we had, lost our accreditation, and we wasn't as successful in terms of placing our students like different in internships and jobs. And I like, in corporate is like the next move, the next big event. And I was like, who am I really benefiting? How am I giving back? Because one thing I was taught early on, and then reemphasized it throughout, even at Jackson State and early on in my career, what are you doing for somebody coming behind you? How are you giving back? And this is an opportunity to go back and try to better prepare students to excel in broadcast. Let them have a career and let it succeed my career. And that's where the passion that I reignited working with young people.
Help them establish their career to exceed your career. That is one of the most selfless statements that I've heard anybody say in a long time, because you've set the bar high. Every place that you have been blessed to work or matriculate, man, you've done a well job. I mean, you've done a great job, and you've pushed the bar higher. Is that because of your rearing, your background, the way your parents raised you, or what?
Yeah, work ethic, but boil back down to that faith, man. My faith and the talent God had given me in terms of that, because it was going back to my family. When I was in the 6th grade, we grew up in a sports family, and so I loved to read Sports Illustrated. So one of my sister gave me a 1-year subscription to Sports Illustrated. My 6th grade, when I got that subscription and started reading it, I knew then what I wanted to do.
Man, that was the magazine, man.
Yeah, at that time, right? During that time, and then you seeing your favorite team and the pictures and the stories. And so, and my team was the Dallas Cowboys.
There you go.
Roger Staubach, Tony Dorsett, right?
Wow.
Drew Pearson. And so I really, as I said, I want to work in broadcast. I want to be a sports writer. And it started there. And I knew from that time what I wanted to do. And then I had the support of my family. And it always, this is what you want to do. This is what it's going to take in education.
Don, and I'm in full transparency, when I broke into the industry, it was very difficult for a young African-American male to break into the industry. You really had to know somebody, And so I'm sure you were able to, I'm sure you faced the same kinds of challenges. But once you got in the door, man, you succeeded and exceeded at the highest level. What argument would you make to young people about getting in the industry, not being lazy, but appreciating the industry? Because it's a tough industry to break into, but it can be a very rewarding industry if you respect it. The opportunities are endless.
Based upon my career and those I've worked along with, first, that passion. You got to be passionate about what you really want to do, and then you have to basically put in the time and effort. How dedicated are you to become great at what you're doing?
Yes.
I used to just, outside of work, I used to just shoot content and just edit it and let other people critique it.
Wow.
It wasn't getting paid. It wasn't on the air. But then later on, it started airing. Rob J in particular. Let me take you back. You remember doing
himself.
Remember doing Steve McNair area at Alcorn?
Yep, that's right.
Here come the Heisman. Remember? So the video, I shoot all Alcorn content. I shot with McNair when he started his freshman year. Now when he became well known, then some of the other guys wanted to shoot, Alcorn, because everybody had their own college. Some had Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Jackson State, Valley. I had Alcorn. And so I should shoot content, and I was like editing it, and Rob saw it. He was like, man, who that for? That's going to air? I was like, no, I'm just putting something together. He said, when you finish it, I will air it.
Wow.
We produced it, it aired, And then we get a phone call from Eric Moe,
I
Mississippi
remember
State.
that's right.
And it's a call from student from Jackson State. Hey, can you produce me a video like that? And so there was a hype video before hype video really became
hype video.
Yeah. And so we started that. So again, it was just something that, like I would tell, my students today, you got to be passionate about it. You got to be disciplined.
When I take a look at you, man, that's grunt work there.
The gubernatorial swearing in taking place here.
Yeah. That's grunt work,
Yeah.
but it's necessary work.
Yes.
There's no getting around honing your craft. There's no getting around understanding your foundation and making sure your foundation is strong. It doesn't look glamorous.
No. But it doesn't. But it is glamorous. Those are in it. Because it's just like whatever you do.
What it was for me.
Yeah, whatever you do, something that other people may look at as work, but you look at it like, man, this is something that I enjoy doing, because at the end of the day, other people are going to see this and they're going to be talking about it. Now, we know the anchors and the reporter get all the accolades.
That's right.
But those who really genuine say, well, you know what? I want to thank my videographer, my cameraman. Right. And so without telling me thank you, when I hear they talk about that story, I'm like, well, I was the one behind it. They don't have to tell me that, but I was to hear that. Then that was like satisfaction, rewarding that I need to continue to get better, because now the more people see my work, the more reporters want to work with me. The more reporter work with you, the more opportunity for awards. And so, during my career, I was fortunate to achieve numerous first place awards and maybe a few second place, nothing beyond that. It was always about being the best. And again, we work for a station that always pride itself on being number one. And so again, to go back to, like I tell, anyone who really want to get into this industry, whatever you're going to be, you have to be passionate. You have to be passionate and dedicated. And lastly, you got to have discipline.
Yes. Oh, that's good.
Without discipline.
Number one, you have to be passionate. Number two, you have to have discipline.
Yes.
That's good.
Because without it, you're not going to be successful in anything. Those who are more disciplined, and regardless of what their profession is, are more probability for success is much higher.
And let me tell you this. I've learned, if you're good at what you do, through my own career, if you're good at what you do, opportunity will find you.
It will.
You don't have to knock the door down. Opportunity will find you. Now, talking about legends and talking about pioneers, you're standing with some of them right now.
The best of the best.
Wow.
The best of the best. And, you even said Rosalind Anderson in there, one of our multimedia journalists. She was reported at the time when I
Now, interesting enough,
there.
When I was at GBC, when I was general manager at GBC, she was anchor over at WTOK.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I recall when she came into WLBT. Again, see some of the great guys, people who worked at WLBT in different aspects.
This is like Flowers. A family reunion or something?
We actually, and what we try to do, Larry, we get together as often we can.
Yeah.
We did over for lunch, just reconnecting. And Chief, the gentleman in the red, he brought, at the time, he's a photographer. When he was in the military,
yeah.
He was a professional photographer. So over the years, he had taken photos of us at different times, and he brought his photo album there, and we got a chance to kind of look at some old pictures, our younger days at WOBT.
Man, interesting.
Yeah.
Now listen, let me tell you something about Phil Flowers. When I was hired at WAPT in sales, Phil Flowers was a creative, he was director of creative arts.
Really?
And so he wrote my first commercial for Pizza Inn. And man, he said, you know what? You're going to do good in this business because I can tell your personality. He said, just stay focused, learn your craft, stay disciplined, and you don't have to worry about it. Business will come to you.
And that speaks of Fowler, but such a humble guy, very professional. But one thing that, I would say, and you mentioned it, see, I didn't know he was at APT.
APT, that's right.
A lot of, again, talented
creative
people
services.
all over.
I say creative arts, but I meant
yes.
creative services.
But a lot of them, they end up at WLBT, and they started either at 12,
JTV,
or APT, and they ended up at Channel 3 because, like you stated, at that time, WLBT was the dominant station.
Except for you started at the top.
Yeah.
So, you didn't have to work your way to the top.
I know.
You started at the top. I had to work my way up to the top.
I didn't share this with you, though. The only time I was ever told no was when was at Channel 16 when I was a junior at Jackson State. You remember Clarence Clarence Turner. He was the chief photographer.
That's right, Clarence Turner, man.
He
didn't talk much, but he was good at what he did.
So he had told me about a weekend photographer position.
Had that low voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I applied, but he wanted to hire me, but the upper management wanted somebody more experienced. And I said, man, the best thing that ever happened to me.
Wow, man. Well, sometimes, and that's powerful. That's powerful. That's a powerful word that you just spoke, Don. Sometimes no is the best thing that you can hear.
Because I think about it. I said, had I started there and upon graduation, I might have started my career at Channel 16. Not knowing exactly what it would have meant, but because they said no, I was like, okay, at least Clarence thought enough of me that I figured that, hey, we'd be willing to give you an opportunity. And it wasn't his decision to make, but just let me know that I had the skill set, I was on my way.
And you know what? Speaking of opportunity, because you had and you still have, you're a young man, you still have the capacity to end up in a major market, the major 10 markets. But you've elected to stay at Jackson State University as a professor at Jackson State University and pour into young people. And in fact, off camera, one of your students, she graduated from Jackson State this past May, and she's shadowing my producer in the studio right now. How do you feel about that? One of your students graduated, and she's shadowing my producer right now on this program. By the way, I'm very impressed with her.
Yeah, Ms. Alexander Wicks.
Yeah.
I call all my
say her name. I was going to let you say her name before me.
Yes. Well, her name is Alexandra Wicks, but I call all my students by their last name, Mr. and Mrs. So Ms. Wicks, yeah, she was a great student at Jackson State. She came through my production courses. One thing I like about her, she basically had that determination, and she didn't take things, in a sense, directly personal, because I was like, I challenge my student to be the best. Mm-hmm. The standard is high. Mm-hmm. Jackson State, the standard as a whole is high, and then we just keep that bar at that level, and we don't lower it. And so when I see a student who can really to meet that challenge, then we really can continue to pour into that student, mm-hmm. or support those students. And it's great that she decided to, again, this is something that she reached out to me, and I would like students who reach out to me, like Professor Spann, can you give me some advice here? What do you think about this? It go beyond the classroom setting, because as you know, in the classroom, we only have a certain amount of time, and we have 20 students or more at times. So that's the teaching aspect and the learning aspect. But the mentorship come beyond the classroom. Those who really have a desire to get better and have aspiration, really make it in this industry, seek not just myself, but others like for guidance.
Right.
And so Ms. Wicks was one of those students who would come to my office and say, hey, Professor Spann, I want to talk about this course, or what's next? What do you think about this? What do you think about that?
So what I'm going to do, hold on, she just walked out of here and gave me a cue. It's going to drive my producer crazy, but he's accustomed to me doing unorthodox things. Ms. Wicks, I want you to come out here, Ms. Wicks. Step out here just for a second, yes. All right? Because we're bragging on you, and I want you to stand beside your professor and just wave at the camera. I didn't say walk in front of him. I said you just walk in front of the camera. Now I know he didn't teach you that. All right. I know. But so this is her student. This is his student.
Yeah, Miss Wicks.
She just graduated, and she's shadowing my producer, who I call a super producer. So you're learning from the best back there. So how does it again, how do you feel having a student that graduated? She should be on vacation today, but she changed her mind because it was more important for her to be here to shadow my producer and to learn the backgrounds of what's going on from a professional standpoint. How do you feel as a professor?
I feel great because what it does, and I say this here because it reminds me of my story, going back when I was undergrad up under Dr. Anthony. In a sense, willing to sacrifice, because she used to always talk about what you're willing to sacrifice, what's really important. And you can always go back, and for her to take could have gone back. She wanted to go back home to family, but decided to stay. Speaks a volume about her willingness to learn and sacrifice now, because later on it's going to reap a reward for that. If she didn't show you, and for her capstone project, she produced a really great Sprite commercial, and you should see it. You know, when I saw it, I was like, "Hey, did I do that?" You know,
well, you said she produced for a capstone project her Sprite commercial. You should see it.
You should see it.
Well, I'm probably thinking through my producer's mind right now, and they probably will see it.
It's great. It really is. It's very impressive. But this was what's great about it.
Would we have permission to show it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But she came and like, hey, she like, this is what I'm envisioning, and what do you think? And I gave her that support and what have you. And that's what I mean. I always wanted to know, how can I make it better? Not just going on my own knowledge, but I want to make sure it's the best.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just for me. Others saw it as well. And to the point that Dr. Love, the faculty of records for that course, told her she should submit it to Sprite. I said the same thing.
Yeah.
It's well produced.
Yeah.
And she should speak volume by her dedication and commitment.
I saw it, and it is very impressive, Ms. Wicks. Thank you for shadowing my producer, and thank you for being here today. We look forward to seeing you again. And I want you to stay tuned with my very special guest. Boy, it seems like we're going down memory lane today, Don Spann. My friend Cal Reno has a very special message about understanding who God is and understanding who we are in God. I want you to stay tuned. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Hey, my name is Kyle Reno, Senior Pastor at Cross Gates Baptist Church. Here's a defining moment from this last Sunday.
You see in that passage of Scripture, he says, by the grace of God given to me, like a skilled master builder, I laid a foundation, and someone else is building upon it. Because listen to me, if this church is what God intends, it outlasts those that are a part of it now. And someone else is building upon it. Let each one take care how he builds upon it. For no one can lay a foundation other than the one which is laid, which is Jesus Christ. So let me tell you what Paul says, inspired by the Spirit to the church in Corinth, that we can learn from. Listen to me. There can only ever be one foundation, and his name is Jesus. He's the chief cornerstone. He's the rock in which everything is built upon. But what he doesn't say is this, not to build upon that foundation. He says just carefully build upon that foundation. Carefully build upon the foundation of Jesus, the outworking of the expression of the church of the Lord Jesus Christ. In every generation, our turn right now, if you're here, it's our turn. Every generation must take care how we build upon this foundation. This church is God's building, and it's continually, listen to me, becoming what God intends for it to be as we cooperate with the work and activity of God.
Hey, thank you for taking some time to listen to that defining moment from this last week. If you'd like to listen to the sermon in its entirety, you can go to crossgates.org, and we would love to have you visit with us any week on any of our Sunday experiences or our midweek opportunities. I'd encourage you this week to take some time and really think about what moments right now are defining your destination. God has more in store for you. Hope to see you soon.
What does the name Story mean to you? Our team put a lot of thought in what story means to them.
Story to me, I think of the word legacy. I think of family, I think of people, I think of relationships. I think some of my most fond memories are sitting around listening to stories, and stories from all different backgrounds, all different cultures, all different types of family relationships, professional relationships, and how those relationships kind of transcend time.
Every day we tell our story, the story of our associates, of our clients, of the communities that we serve. That's the essence of the soul of the bank, and it's why being storytellers is so compelling to us, because we've been telling our story for the last 4 years, and now we can go out and really show the market who we are.
Being able to tell the story and incorporating that in our name, to me, is a sense of pride.
It's just a continuation of the people we serve every day, and their individual stories that have made this place so special.
We are trying to change from being seen as just a commercial bank to a bank that is for anyone and everyone, because we are. And that is why we want to change to Story Financial Partners, because we want to know what your story is, what brings you to us, and how we can be a part of your story.
We're growing, we're evolving, and I see us being very successful.
The future of the bank is so bright, you need sunglasses. I mean, it's incredible.
Our future is like it is now, continues to be bright and growing, and will always go upward.
I am very excited. I see it as reading a suspenseful novel based on a true story, of course, because we've had a wonderful beginning, and where we're headed here is a to be continued experience. I'm excited because we should never put a period there. We should always put a comma, because there are greater things to happen with our story. To be continued.
Hey, welcome back to Defining Moments. I'm with my friend, Don Spann. As much as I thought I knew about him, he is hitting me with surprises. Number one, I didn't know that he was a professor at Belhaven University. Didn't know that he studied under the legendary Bruce Payne. If you know anything about the history of broadcasting in the country, names like Bruce Payne, they are nationally known, being a radio personality. I mean, not just someone that's flippant, someone in and out. I mean, someone who people revered as the godfather of radio, and then others as well.
Definitely.
And so I see, as much as you've been taught by legends, I see now that you're sitting in the teacher's seat, Professor Spann. How interesting is that? You've elected with your skill set, you've elected to sit in the professor's seat to pour into others that which has been poured into you, as opposed to working and running CNN or Fox or ABC or CBS production studios.
You know, it goes back to again, you know, what's important. You know what, you know, like your legacy. What when I'm no longer here on this earth, like what did you do to help other people along the way? If it was all about me, I would have stayed in corporate.
Yes,
just
because you're doing just fine.
Yeah, just been me and my family, and I'm concerned about let them make it on their own. But somebody else paved the way for me, and it's a great feeling though, because you know, like as a father, as you know, when you see accomplishment and they make when a student graduate or they have other achievement in life, it's, you know, you feel a part of that. And so to see the different students go across that stage and knowing that you play like a small role in that is such rewarding, because they become part of you in a sense. And so now that we talk about legacy, so how did that legacy continue? It goes on through our students. We talked about earlier.
That's powerful.
We mentioned Dr. Anthony, her legacy continue on through us, you know, and making sure that we're doing the right thing so that other people can follow and do it the right way.
I've been able to get in some doors because of Dr. Anthony. I've been able to get in some doors because those before me made sure that they turned around, caught my hand, and pulled me in the door. And the only thing that they said to me, as I say to others, I don't want anything from you, but as you learn, I want you to pay it backwards. Now, some people say pay it forward, but yes. I want you to turn around and I want you to pay it backwards. In other words, I want you to bring someone else in this door. It's not all about you. It's not all about, as I said in the promo prior to the program, it's not all about you amassing wealth for yourself and accomplishments for your own self-aggrandizement. And I've said many times before, God don't mind you having stuff. God does not mind us having wealth, but he don't want the stuff and the wealth having us.
Exactly.
God don't mind you having cars and houses, as long as those cars and homes and people, places, and things don't become your God, don't become your deity. They don't become your pursuit for the purpose that God created you for. God created us ultimately for his glory, but then to be a benefit to those around him. And the greatest investment I've learned, Don, and I know you and I share the same sentiment, the greatest investment that can be made by anyone is when he or she invests in other people.
That is so profound. That's true. You're talking about the scriptures, God give us life and give us more abundantly. And so that abundantly for me, it's like success. And everybody got a different way of looking at success. Some people define success like in terms of monetary, materialistic things. Part of my success is my people, my students.
Like Ms. Wicks that came on camera.
That's success. It's like we did what we're supposed to do. She's among other who have graduated. Not only graduated, going to have a career. Either she's going to go to graduate school, get a master's. Who not to say she's going to get a PhD, but she's going to work in the industry. That's success. That's others. So that's part of my success because I played a minor role in that. And I think that's what it's all about.
All right,
lifting as we climb.
But I've got to talk about this. I've got it because and I know it's not an aberration. It's not a figure of our imagination because I hear other people talking about it. It seems that younger people of today, when they get out of school, they want to immediately jump leaps and bounds of what it took my generation, your generation, and older generations years to get to. That there's something to be said, and I know we're being repetitious with the thought, but I think it bears pounding. There's something to be said about learning your craft, and not necessarily starting at the bottom, but even starting at an entry level, learning your craft. Because when you learn your craft, when you learn your discipline, you won't have to find people. People will find you and create opportunities for you.
They will. And, and this, the generation we live in today is that, and it started before this generation, there's no instant success. Someone called it a microwave approach.
Yeah.
Don't want to wait that long.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it the way which my parents or grandparents did it. However, everything, like we stated, started with the foundation because you may obtain it, but can you sustain it though?
Oh, that's a good
Sustainability.
word there.
Can you sustain it? For how long? We hear today the challenge of young people is that they're going to have their own, they want to be influencers. They have their own YouTube channel. And I'm like, my challenge to my students is like, okay, what's different? What make you different from everybody else?
That's right.
Because yes, today, but in 6 months, where will it be?
That's right.
So, but this is why you're This is why you're here. This is why you at Jackson State, to separate yourself from everybody else, to learn these basic principles. And then it's a book that I'm sure you're familiar with, Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Successful
That's
People,
right. I've read the book.
Right. And so in that course, we talk about character and personality.
Yeah.
And society is more of a personality approach.
That's right.
As opposed to live life based upon certain characteristics.
Right.
Discipline, humility, things on that line, accountability, being responsible. A lot of students kind of sway away from that. Many, if they listen to the right people, like who are you listening to? Who's in your ear? If they listen to the right people, they're gonna understand that I'm gonna have to really put in the work.
Yeah.
Put in the extra time. Sacrifice enjoying life. As you sacrifice now to enjoy life later on. And I know a lot of time they feel like, well, I can't wait because they see their peers. But then unfortunately, we see the horror story to go along with that. If you look deep into social media, there's a lot of negative along with it. Unfortunately, the high rate of suicide has gone up.
Right.
Because of instant success and other pressure go along with that. Without, taking the time, honing your skills and let the due process take place at its appointed time.
I'll never forget, my uncle told me years ago, he said, if you pay now, you'll be able to play later.
That's so true.
But if you play now, you're going to pay later.
That is so true.
You play now, you're going to pay later. If you pay now, you'll be able to play later. And my goodness, I see that in just people that I know. Yeah. Some people paid early and they stuck to the grind and now they're playing and they're playing hard. There's some people who played early and now they're having to pay for it because they were not disciplined. And there's no substitute for learning your skills and doing it well. There are no quick fixes. There's no fairy dust that can be sprinkled over you that you're going to jump. Because as you said, you can get there, but can you sustain yourself while you're there? You fast burn, but you fast burn out. Can you get there? And that's your passion. it seems to me that yours is equally that they get the education, but also the practical experience. What you bring is the practical application to your students.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I think is so important. And a lot of universities are going and using that model, so to speak, in terms of, we give you the knowledge base, the theory base, but now you got to have the skill sets. Look at the image right here. These are students just recently, this past year, who basically
MAB, that's Mississippi Association of Broadcasters.
Competing against other universities across the state of Mississippi. That's first place in sports.
Wow.
Let them know that your skill set just as good as anybody else.
Right.
So you can compete with students to go to other PWIs. This just this past academic year.
Man, you're like a proud parent standing
up
there
like
with
your
students.
Because
it's like they got it.
And that's what it's all about, because it's all about winning. It's all about competition. It go back, that drive never leaves, even though, and I tell them, when I worked at Channel 3, it was all about first place. It was all about winning. And I tell them that you have the same mindset, the same skill set. You can do it.
Man, listen, you're a dapper dresser too, man. I've always known you as a dapper dresser, though. But I see pride.
Yes.
I see pride of a professor mentoring young people to say they got it.
Yes, and again, and it's so rewarding for that. And I understand now, at the time when I say that, at the time when I was undergrad and others, when again, Dr. Anthony was such a major person in my life, beyond a colleague, a mentor, a friend, whole 9 yards. Mm-hmm. But that's what she envisioned for her students. Putting in everything that needed for them to be successful, because she knows she put in the right work with them, they're gonna have a successful career later on.
And let me tell you something. The real broadcast industry, this for yourself, is unforgiving.
Yeah, definitely.
You want to know why it's unforgiving? Because it is ratings driven.
Yes.
You don't have too many, I'm sorry, my bad, and give me a third or fourth chance. In that camera, as a reporter, as an anchor, as a salesperson, it is unforgiving, period.
And I use that same approach in the classroom, because it's real time, it's real world. And the same thing, that same analogy goes into corporate world mm-hmm. as well. It's give me a little bit more time. There's no more time, but the time that's allotted is what you do with the time that's given.
Right.
And that's where the discipline come into play, and the dedication and understanding time management. All those things that, that I employ as a faculty at Jackson State. Other faculty do it as well. But within our program, especially in the class that I teach, it's like that's the highest level. It's no, second chance to do it again, because I always say, okay, if you're gonna watch the news at 6 o'clock or 10, whatever the newscast, they're gonna start on time.
Oh, period.
Regardless.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, that story gonna air. If not, they're gonna do a little reader up until it's there. But beyond that, it have to happen.
Yeah. Precision is key. There's no room for second best. There's no room for, I'm sorry, it's bad, I don't feel good, I don't feel like it, somebody's mad at me. Every show, particularly news, every news show has to be at its peak performance. Why? Because it is ratings driven for eyeballs to mm-hmm. watch it. Why is that important? Because that's what the salespeople go out and sell. The more ratings, the more viewers, the more money the station makes. And every television station is a profitable engine, period.
And what I do, one of the things we try to do, Larry, as well, is like bring in professionals to come and speak to the class, to reemphasize some of the things we talked about. So they're hearing it, from somebody else. But I tell them, I don't give them a script. I ask them to come in and have a conversation with my students about the industry, about the real world, about expectations on both parts. And then now the student get opportunity to ask questions that they can hear directly from somebody who's working every day.
Yeah.
And they go
as opposed to theoretical.
Exactly.
As opposed to this is what I think happens. No, I'm in this business. I know how the business goes.
Yeah, and I go beyond just the media aspect of it. We bring in those in politics, those attorneys, other industry, because it's all about being like something students need to understand about being ethical. What did that look like? beyond media.
Mm-hmm.
You know, doing the right thing. We have a representative from like law enforcement come in. Just little things that you need to know once you get beyond these walls to Jackson State. It's going to make you very, ideal citizen in society and productive citizen societies. So yes, you educated, but then let's see how smart you are.
So Don, let me ask you this. You know, the name of the ministry that the Lord has given me, broadcast ministry, Defining Moments. The motivation is to inspire people, to encourage people, to even challenge people to embrace their purpose and live it with the spirit of excellence. And so I know that God has given me defining moments. That means he has shared with me, this is why I created you. You know, I created you for this purpose. When did Don Spann realize this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
I think, well, I know now, by my third in 2014, when I was at Belhaven, that's when I knew my purpose was to teach and to help young people, because I taught.
So let's put a pin there. Belhaven is after Nissan.
Yeah, I was at Nissan because I was as an adjunct.
Oh,
so
that's right.
I was
Okay.
doing corporate.
Okay.
And then I was teaching at night, a night course as an adjunct professor.
All right, but okay, so you're still at Nissan, and you're teaching adjunct professor at Belhaven.
At Belhaven.
But that's after you having a successful career at
Yes.
WRBT. That's as of you WJMI OKJ. That's after WMDN.
Yes.
But it took you getting to Belhaven to say, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be teaching.
Yes, that was it. It took me. God took me back to when I met with those young kids. Those second and third, those second through fourth graders. Not knowing, but it was at a point in time when he revealed it back to me.
Now years later.
Yeah, look at some of my students. This is just recently from the Michael Jackson biopic. University Communication reached out and say, we need some students who can cover the red carpet.
Wow.
And all those are our students, my students.
Now, you know what? Let me tell you something. It's interesting because when I showed you behind the camera, when I showed you at LBT behind the camera, when I showed you at the governor's inauguration ball, I saw your enjoyment. I saw your face light up. But when I'm showing these students, man, you're about to jump out of your chair.
Yeah, because it shows that not only did I get a chance to see him, but other people got a chance to see him as well.
Wow.
And then the compliments I received from University Communication, from President Gregory, president of Jackson University.
Yeah, Jackson State University, yeah.
About our students.
Wow.
It's like we're doing something, hey. And so this is, on this is Wisdom Martin. The gentleman right beside Ed Bishop.
Yeah.
He's in D.C. now.
Now listen, Ed Bishop, for those of you, Ed Bishop is the back right, the gentleman with the beard.
Yes.
On the right side. Interesting, when I was general manager at GBC, the NBC affiliate in Meridian, Mississippi, I said, man, listen, I need some help. Whatever you're doing, I'll pay you more. And I was able to hire Ed Bishop.
Another talented.
Talent. He's
talent.
Man, he's a great production guy.
Yes, he is.
So he is great in sales and marketing and production. He knows it all, man.
So yeah, Wisdom Martin. He graduated
so
Jackson
this guy.
State.
So now, which one is in
right beside beside Ed Bishop?
Yeah,
that's Wisdom Martin. He's a graduate of Jackson University. He worked at Channel 16 in the early 2000s in sports.
Yes,
but now he's in D.C.
Isn't that something?
He spoke to our students.
Your gifts will make room for you,
yes,
won't they?
They definitely do. Yeah, God definitely have the ways of making that happen, in a sense. But I just speaks about the fact that the opportunity that was given to me and other who inspired me, who was to come and speak to the class. Now this was last fall. This is MAB conference in Raymond, Mississippi.
Yes,
we went. Took some of our students out there to network, what have you, and so that was fall of 25.
And that lady on the right, on my far right, those of you that are watching on the far left, holding the notebook, that's Dr. Elaine Hayes Anthony, and she has opened so many doors for so many people. She has transitioned on to heaven now, rest in peace. but she was a kind soul to me.
Definitely.
And so I guess, Don, we owe it to her memory and others who have blazed a trail before us. We owe it to their hard work, to their spirit of pioneer. We owe it to them to keep the passion, keep the legacy going, and to keep opening doors for others.
You're definitely right about that. And so that's the key. And as you know, like with any, when you work with a group of people, the goal is if you can inspire one,
yes,
you're successful. Your goal, you hope that you have as many, but everybody's not. That's just the reality of life, how it goes. But when you have, for example, like Ms. Wicks and maybe others, and you see that, like, yeah, it working. So now I continue to do it because you see the results of your work, and it's good work, and you're like, yeah, I want to do it again. So you get excited for the next cohort coming through, the next academic year. Who can I find? Who's going to be that next male or female who I can really inspire, who I see really have a passion? And then we make sure that, we're doing the things that we need to do to make them prepare them. And that sometimes introducing to people like Mr. Larry Nix and others, let them know, hey, I want you to hear that story.
Yeah.
And let you know you can do the same thing as well.
And you know what, Don? I've never spent time looking over my resume and being impressed with me. I just do the work. Mm-hmm. And so my wife introduced me. I had to speak a couple of weeks ago, and my wife introduced me, and I was floored with some of the stuff that she said about me that I'd forgotten about, number one, and I didn't even think that she had been noticing it, because I don't do what I do for attention. I do what I do because, number one, it's the right thing to do, and I do what I do because I'm trying to work out of me what the Lord has placed inside of me. The Bible says we are a creation created in Christ Jesus unto good works that God prepared for us beforehand. Now, if you were to tear that apart, it would simply means that God created a work and he needed someone to accomplish that work or facilitate that work or work that work. And he created a Don to say, now I'm putting you in this vineyard. I'm putting you in this position. I'm putting you in this place to accomplish that work.
And that's how I look at that. That's why I'm always thankful and giving him the glory for the talent he had given me, to not only the talent, but maybe to give back that talent, because I know that, again, I just can't keep it. So I want to inspire others to do the same thing, especially those, we have some, I'm thankful, like I said, I do photography, I edit pictures, I do videography, and I edit videos.
Do you still do that?
I still do that.
Do it. You can't get rusty,
no,
man.
So let me tell
you just only teach it.
I tell my students.
Listen, but do you ever have anybody say, Professor Spann, you're not all of that. You're like, okay, whippersnapper, come on.
So that's what I do. I said, so some assignment, I said, I give you all the assignment, I do it as well.
Whoa.
Let you know. I still do. I'm like, I can still shoot the best of them.
Whoa.
I said, I just choose not to.
I get it.
I'm thankful when I have to, because again, that's just a part of it. That's human nature.
Yeah.
It's just like I would equate life to sports, in every aspect of it. You have an up and coming talent. And then you have somebody been there forever, and they're like, well, yeah, you're an old school veteran. You can't do that anymore, until they got to show them that I still have the skill set.
Oh, yeah, you still got it.
My approach is different.
Yeah.
But the end results are still the same.
There you're right. You don't want to get into a physicality kinds of thing, but now you're at a place of wisdom. Listen, a couple of questions, because I know we're nearing the end of our conversation together. Man, I got to have you back. No. So first of all, I'm going to get you on record. Will you come back?
Sure. I mean, you invite me, I will definitely.
I'm looking forward to coming back. For that person that has a burning desire, and by the way, Miss Wicks, your student, is giving me cues right now. I'm just laughing. I'm picking at her right now. Good job. For that student, for that person that has a burning desire, I have something inside of me that I want to get out of me, but it seems like the odds are against me. How would you encourage them?
For that individual?
I'm in the wrong skin. I live in the wrong zip code. I have the last wrong name. But I have this burning desire just to get this out of me. How would you encourage them?
What I would say to that individual, look at me as an example.
Wow.
I come from, real quickly, from Holmes County, and it's from the state of Mississippi. One of the, out of 82 counties, Holmes County, one of the poorest. Job rate is really low in terms of the economic standpoint. But understanding having a good work ethic, and then having that trust and faith in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, in terms of He's gonna let you know exactly what your skill sets are. And once you know what they are, you got to trust Him and let Him guide you. And when opportunities start presenting themselves, knowing that it's not you, but it's Him, and you give Him the glory for that, and He can continue to open the door. But you got to trust Him, and then surround yourself with people who's going to encourage you.
Oh, that's good.
Who's going to believe in you. But first of all, you got to believe in yourself. Believe in yourself, have confidence in yourself, who you are, and the skill set that God has given you. Because again, every talent is because of Him. And then if you recognize that talent, then you're going to work to perfect that skill and those talent. And He will open those doors to get you in and to keep you there. So again, I was somebody, like I stated, and God has blessed me over my life and my career through education, through jobs, things on that line, that many said that if you would have heard of me beforehand, he would have never made it. But because of Him, I'm here today. And again, Larry, I want to say thank you. Thank you for giving this opportunity, this platform to share my story. But all that I have, is to God be the glory.
Yeah.
Because without Him, then I don't have anything.
Yeah. There's a song that says, if I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with the word of song, if I can tell somebody that he's traveling wrong, then my living would not have been in vain. Now, I don't want to put your stuff out there in public, because I know people are still grabbing on you. But what's the next 10 years like for Don Spann? Without being the president of the university, what's the next step?
That's a great question, but I'm open to this. Is what a conversation I had with God recently, that whatever door you have for me,
yeah,
I'm willing to walk in.
Yeah, that's
because
right.
I don't know. I'm just trusting Him to continue to guide me and develop the different skills I need.
Yeah.
But I feel great about whatever the opportunity is going to be.
Yeah.
Because everything that happened is because of Him. Because like I said, I didn't apply for the job when I started out when I was in college. Someone else gave my name, and it was Jerome DeLoach who told me about being a news photographer at WOBT, and then it was Larry Flowers in Nashville who gave my name about Nissan.
Yeah.
So because of that, I'm just someone else going to drop my name, or God going to give it and put it in their heart to give them that. So that has been. And like I said, if you look at it this wise, when I applied for the job, they told me no. Everything else has been open doors.
Has been yes.
Yes.
God, I believe, Don, that God answers in three ways. Yes, no, or wait, not now.
Yes.
And if you trust Him, all of those will be for your good.
Yes, I agree with that.
Because when I look over my life, some of the doors that I've asked God to open and He didn't, I'm so glad that He didn't. Some of the doors that I haven't expected Him to open, He has. And all of any level of success that people say I've had, man, I quickly give it to God. And the second thing I've learned is that your gifts will make room for you. God will put people in your path that will help you get out of you what's inside of you. I'm going to say that again. I want you to come a little closer, because you need to hear this not with your ears only, but with your heart. Everything that's in your heart that God has placed in your heart to accomplish, He's not playing tricks with you. He's not playing games with you. If He has put that in your heart, with every vision, one preacher said, with every vision, God gives provision. You may not even know who they are, where they are, or where it's coming from. But God's word will not lie. If He put it there, now make sure He put it there. If He put it there, then He will bring it to pass. Each day when I put my vehicle in reverse, Don, I said, Lord, help me to understand the path that you've designed for me today, and help me to walk in it.
Yes.
I don't want to say, God bless my stuff. I've learned and I've matured to the place that I've said, Lord, whatever it is that you've ordained for me, my life, my day, help me to understand it and walk in it. Because if I do that, then I will experience the greatest level of success and peace.
Yeah, that's profound, and it's important that I think people get to once you get to a point in life and realize who really controlling your hands, and you allow him to guide your hand throughout the day. Every day is a good day.
Every day is a good day.
They be like, "How you doing today?" I tell them, "All is well." Happy, how is that? I say, all is well, because everything, regardless of the circumstances, is in his hands. So it's well.
Yeah. If you're
regardless.
trusting.
Yeah, and that's just it. Regardless of the circumstances, we're going to trust him because he haven't and he will not fail.
Well, I have enjoyed my time with you today, young man, young whippersnapper.
Man, my pleasure. Been my pleasure.
What a blessing you are. There are young people that your hand has touched their lives in a very positive, impactful, sustaining manner, as evident with one of your students shadowing us today. And so thank you for keeping your hands to the plow. From an intern at AM, FM radio station years and years ago, now to a very respected professor at a major university. Don Spann has been my guest. More importantly, he's been my friend. Again, thank you, Don, for joining us, and I look forward to having you back, man.
Again, thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to your return.
Amen. So thank you for joining us. Remember, our only motivation, I say this all the time, our only motivation is that you're inspired, you're encouraged, and yes, even challenged to embrace your divine purpose and not just live any kind of way, but live it with the spirit of excellence. Our desire is that you are introduced with hope, and that you have hope. Not just hope for now, but hope for life. We'll see you next time on Defining Moments. Take care of yourself.